Welcome to Mainland Television Regional News. I'm Graham O'Brien, and coming up in today's bulletin, musical icon talks life in music, rockstar economy hits food bank hard, apple and kiwi fruit decimated, Guy Fawkes proves unpopular for firefighters. A loud crackling followed by a resounding explosion at 9:30 p.m. on Tuesday night may have had people thinking Guy Fawkes had started early, but they awoke to the reality of a massive financial hit to seasonal jobs and orchard incomes. Kiwi fruit and apple orchards in the area from Rewalker through Motueka and Lower Muturi, which is to the west of Nelson, were devastated after Tuesday's night storm, which has completely wiped out the fruit, with a massive deluge of hail that rained down on the area solidly for 20 minutes. With an estimated 20 orchards in the Tasman area having suffered the consequences of what has been called by one prominent orchardist as the worst storm in living memory, this has left some apple orchards a virtual write-off and the flowering kiwi vines completely shredded, all of which will seriously affect harvesting jobs next year that's heavily relied on by many locals as well as island economies of the Pacific Island workers, who were brought in under the recognised Seasonal Employer RSE scheme. An estimated 1,000 RSE workers were employed in the Nelson region alone last year. Many orchardists would have some insurance cover, but this would not cover the loss of the potential crop and will only cover existing costs up till now. The impact of this storm will mean a huge financial hit, not only for orchardists and their seasonal staff, but will have an impact on many businesses in the area, with losses in regional income. With an estimated income of $150 million from the pip fruit industry and another $22 million from the kiwi fruit coming into the area last year. She's a musical icon, born and raised in Nelson, and she arrived in town this week. Singer-songwriter Sharon O'Neill popped into our studio to talk with Chrissy Small about her memories of childhood in Nelson, her life since Nelson, and the concert she has brought home to share with her Nelson family, friends and fans.
I have our musical icon originally from Nelson, Sharon O'Neill, visiting in the studio. Sharon's here for a one public performance concert on Saturday night. And it's a real pleasure to have you here in the studio, Sharon.
Pleasure to be here.
Yeah, now look, you've flown in from Sydney. What is it like to come back to Nelson? What are the feelings?
I love it. It's like instant home. I mean, you know, I have a home in Sydney and that's one thing. But it just brings back memories and I see all the changes that are going on and it's brilliant. I love it.
Yeah.
And I catch up with family.
Yeah,
you know,
yeah.
And get to have a sing at the same time.
Oh, that's great, isn't it? What more could you want?
I know.
What are some of the most prevalent memories that you have of growing up in Nelson?
The beach is like number one. I loved the beach, and every weekend we were there all day, every day. And other things, just the general town and the creativeness, and it was, you know, small and intimate, and we used to get together and have folk songs at the Shizelko.
Right.
And those memories are great. I had a lot of friends around that time and we used to have a great sing-along. Those sorts of things. And school days. I loved the school days. I loved getting on the bus and going out to Waimea.
Right. And
intermediate and college. And my little primary school, that was great too.
Yeah.
I have memories about that and running away with my girlfriend and freaking out the headmaster.
was that at Tahuna Nui?
That was at Tahuna Nui School, yeah.
Yeah. No, great wee school, and of course it's still there, and it's very much the same as it probably always was.
Yeah, except when we drove in from the airport, I couldn't see it. It's a huge big hedge and it was always very open, so I really never got to get that little memory at the time, but anyway.
I'm sure if you popped in there and had a look,
I'd be
really
to do
pleased
that, actually.
to see
I'd love
you.
to do that.
Yeah. Now, Sharon, of course, your career has spanned many years, going back from the 70s right through. Now, in the beginning, what inspired you to get into the music?
I think when I was very little, I think it was a Christmas present from Mum and Dad, they got me a zither. you know, and you had to, you know, so there's a kind of very angular with the strings, and you'd put your sheet of music under it, and that was your cheat sheet. But I loved it. I really fell in love with it. And the next thing was they got me a guitar, and I got a book. So I got a few chords, and then the lady up the road, 2 blocks up, she had a piano that she didn't need anymore, a big old-fashioned antique with the candelabra, you know, everything.
Yeah.
And we were allowed to have the use of it. So I had all these things going on, and of course I loved the radio.
Right.
So it all kind of happened, you know. I just started to warble and try to keep it in tune, as you do.
Now, with the musical influences in your early years, what were they?
Early years, well, I listened to anything on the radio, and Mum belonged to like a record club, and she would get all the things that she liked, but I had a choice of what I liked. So I had a Monkees record that was worn out, Art Garfunkel, of course Paul Simon, and that was like the start of it, and I wrote a lot of poetry too.
Right.
But I think what really kicked me in was when I left school and I worked for, it was 2ZN back then.
Right, which is some
Radio
knows,
Nelson.
Yeah, that's right.
And I was in the program department. So in those days, a lot of like record company reps would come in and they'd say, "Oh, you got to listen to this," because they wanted you to play it.
Right.
So I had all this at my fingertips and a little monitor unit and some headphones, and I could, you know, even in morning tea time, I could listen to whatever I wanted. So it was kind of like that really kicked it in, and I thought, hey, you know, and my favourites were things like music like the Eagles, pretty West Coast American, I guess, and some very traditional English folk.
Yeah, so a lot of stuff that was harmony based as well. I can hear that influence there.
Yeah, I love harmonies. It's where I go actually first, usually. And I had a little trio with my friend Nancy Richmond at the time, and Tony Hale, I think, played guitar, and we would do those sorts of folk songs.
Right.
But Nancy was the singer.
Okay.
And I was so happy doing the harmonies. And for a while there, I never ever expected for it to turn the other way around. But I've always loved doing harmonies when I record. It's just a natural thing for me. I love it.
Yeah. Well, on a lot of your songs, your albums, I'm sure I can hear your harmonies.
Oh, you can.
In the background there.
Yeah, technology, you know, go back in and do the first harmony, go back in and do the second harmony.
Sure. And of course, it's a lot different now because everything's digital and the old analog thick recording tapes have been...
Sadly, the digital sound now is not, well, it's not really my cup of tea, so I can't imagine walking around with an iPod because it would be so close and intense in my head. But that's just because I'm old-fashioned.
Right.
You know.
You're still the girl behind the monitor with the big ear cans on.
Yeah, that's me. That's me. I'm happy there.
What a great job that would have been.
Oh, it was fantastic.
Yeah.
It really was.
New Zealand's rock star economy seems to be coming unstuck for more Nelsonians, as demand on backstop limited resources like food banks are making things difficult for those running these charitable volunteer organisations. Chrissy Small spoke with coordinator Mike Gibson of Nelson's Community Food Bank this week about the service as a volunteer and the increased demand for the charitable food service.
I'm here at Nelson's Community Food Bank with coordinator Mike Gibson. Now, Mike, you've just been presented with a lovely award and some recognition for your work as a volunteer coordinator for Food Bank. Let's have a look at this, the Mayor's Bouquet. Now, this was presented to you by the Mayor yesterday?
Yes, a very nice little ceremony.
Now, this is to reward you. Now, you've been involved with Food Bank for 5 years as a volunteer. Is this the first recognition you've had for this?
Yes, for locally, yes, it has been. But I'd have never got this if it hadn't been for the volunteers. You can't do this job by yourself, and we've got a band of very efficient volunteers. It's a very physical job, and not suitable for everybody.
No. Now, also, because it's a volunteer organisation, sometimes it can seem a bit thankless, other than knowing that you're helping others in the community. Tell me, Mike, what would you like to see happen for your volunteers?
Well, they get individual thanks from when they deliver a parcel, but I'd really like to see a local firm sponsor a morning tea or a dinner or something for these people. They use their own car. They're out in all sorts of weather. They drive the worst streets in Nelson delivering food parcels. And I know personally it does a lot of damage to your car. And if some firm could sponsor a morning tea for them where they could all get together, it would be just terrific.
It's very physical work.
Yes, it's a job. There's a difference between volunteering for a charity and sometimes you come in here like today. If two of us, it's work.
Okay, are you looking for more volunteers at this point in time?
At this point, today, I've got a full crew, and it's a long time since I've had a full crew of volunteers.
Now, I believe at the moment you've got a demand which outstrips supply. Is that correct?
Yes, I'm continually buying. Even last Saturday, we filled the shelves and estimated what was needed for this week, and it'll be lucky if I don't have to do an emergency shop on Thursday.
You're very obviously needed. The Rockstar economy is hitting a bit rock bottom, isn't it?
Yeah. Yes, it's today's going to be quite busy by the time we finish delivering these. Yeah.
And so, as you've noticed, demand is up. It's the biggest demand you've seen yet?
Yes. We're into November now and it has slackened off a wee bit. But the end of September and October, it was just terrific. You know, you're trying to deal with 14 parcels. We say a parcel, but a parcel can be sometimes 2 boxes for a big family. And some of those families had 5 and 6 children, so that's quite a bit of produce went out of here in one day.
So where do you get all the supplies from?
I would buy the bulk of what we get. We get very generous donations from a very generous community out there, and I bring in quite liberal, quite generous bags of donations from out there.
Now, you have been spending money on supplies yourself for the organisation. Where does that money come from?
The committee have a person whose job is to research trusts and different any avenue at all where we can get funding. We don't get government funding. We do get a grant from the local council. But the rest of it, we find it. It's the easiest way of describing it.
So it is really a struggle. You're constantly looking for food supplies, you're constantly looking for money. How can people get food and money to this organisation?
Well, the food can be donated through donation bins or people contacting me, and the Tai Chi people out in Tahuna are another little group that give very generously to us, and somebody they contact me or one of our volunteers, and we go and pick it up ourselves. Money is a bit harder to donate. Recently, I've referred 2 people to our treasurer, and they managed to bank it directly.
So if people contact you, Mike, if they can phone you directly to find out where they can donate money, what is your phone number?
Yes, phone number is pretty public. My wife won't answer it now because it rings so often. It is 547 9902.
Last weekend, Ray and Lynette Salisbury tramped for 3 hours up the Cobb Valley to the reopening of the historic tent camp. Built in 1973 by the legendary ranger Max Polglaze, the Department of Conservation has already commissioned their local man John Taylor to restore several historic huts in Kahurangi National Park. On Saturday, Lynette spoke with John about this latest restoration project.
I'm here with John Taylor from the Department of Conservation. John, tell us why we're all here in the Cobb Valley today.
Yeah, well, today we've had an opening for our tent camp, which you see behind us, and it's a tent camp that we've restored. It's the last remaining one in the country, and we've had the event today to celebrate tent camps and to thank all the people that helped us make this restoration happen.
How long and how many people have worked on this?
Yeah, a lot of people have helped us with it, from canvas suppliers and upholsterers who have fabricated all the tent work and flies and all the canvas that's been required. We've had people from the Friends of Cobb help us with some of the preliminary work and raising the footprint for the tent camp, gathering rocks and quarrying gravel and clay and getting it onto site. We've had help from the Deerstalkers Association on site and doing some of our interpretive panels. And there's been various other people who've come and given us a hand as well. But the actual construction of the tent camp, well, first of all, we kind of had to pretty much dismantle the old one and build the site up and rebuild this one. That was over a couple of weeks.
How much did this cost and where did your funding come from?
Yeah, well, we virtually had a shoestring budget, really, because it was a community project and a lot of people helped and came in from around the community to help us. We got a bit of DOC funding from our Working with Communities budget, which was only about a couple of $1,000, but really the project didn't really cost us any more than that. We got terrific value from the community, and particularly with the canvas being supplied and fabricated for nothing. That was where most of the expense was, and that didn't cost us a cent, which was great.
Yeah, that's fantastic. Are there any other huts that you either have renovated or are planning to renovate in the area?
I guess in this nearby area, the main one is the one just back down the valley here, Chafee's Hut, which was really a Deerstalkers initiated project, and they were the ones that put in all the manpower to make that happen. But I was involved with helping them with that, and that's a pretty special hut, special project, and well worth seeing and visiting. It's only just over an hour's walk up the valley from the road end, so very doable.
Thanks very much, John. Thanks for your time, and we hope there's going to be a lot of traffic coming through to enjoy this camp.
Guy Fawkes is a full-on night for all our fire services and volunteers, with fires across the region during the night's fireworks celebrations, which began with a vegetation fire in Russell Street, another in Parramatta Street in Edify, as well as a false alarm in Muritai Street. And in the immediate Tasman area there was a fire near the coast in Marahau, and two further reported vegetation fires an hour apart, both in High Street, Motueka. Chrissy Small managed to speak with Ian Reid of the Rural Fire Service in our studio about these Guy Fawkes call-outs and the pressure that this puts on the fire service across the region.
I have in the studio with me from Rural Fire, Ian Reid. Ian, we spoke to you earlier in the week about how people can prevent fires and the consequences of fires do get out of hand, and we've just had Guy Fawkes, and of course we've had quite a few call-outs. One fire of significance, particularly in Marsden Valley. Can you tell me what kind of strain this caused the service last night?
Well, it was a fairly busy night last night, Chrissy. Not a lot of sleep had by many.
No.
And it's not just the firefighters that it affects, it's also their families, both spouses and children, because they get woken up with alarms going off and cars getting driven out of garages. So yes, we had a fire in Marsden Valley. It's contained now. It's burnt around 4 hectares of a pine plantation. And it does seem that the fire was started through, the misuse of fireworks. That's our initial investigations.
Right. So how many people were involved in fighting this fire?
Well, we had obviously the Stoke Volunteer Fire Brigade responded initially, and then they were replaced with crews from Appleby and Brightwater. We had machinery and crews come from Mapua and Upper Moutere as well, and so they've pretty much been there most of the night, and then we've had a forestry contract crew go in this morning helping with the mop up, and they're still currently there as we speak.
Right. Now, when you say it was an incident that you suspect was caused through fireworks. Would that mean that someone in the vicinity of that area at the top of the valley there would have perhaps been responsible?
I don't know whether it's people that live there or whether it's people that are transient and they've come in from somewhere else and decided it was a good place to let off fireworks. We had a similar incident in Marahau last night as well, in the early hours, where some people thought that the gravel patch by the bridge at Marahau would be a good place to set off fireworks, and the first one went off okay. The second one fell over on the side and went into the long grass. So that involved crews from Marahau, Kaiteri, and the Tasman Volunteers and Motueka Volunteer Fire Brigade. So.
Goodness, so it was quite big too.
No, it was kept quite contained, quite small. The Marahau guys weren't far away, but it had potential.
And, you know, there are such incidences as stupid things, people throwing fireworks out car windows. I know that's happened because I've come across a fire with my children once, and fortunately we were near a house, so we just ran back with dog bowls and of water and things and put it out. But, you know, it just shows you how quickly these things can start. Is there a call from the fire service to ban fireworks? Do you think this should happen?
Well, I think it's an interesting discussion. You know, nobody likes to have their freedoms impinged upon, but unfortunately, often things like this get ruined by the few who don't want to be responsible. And I guess the Prime Minister is entering into that debate as we speak, and the discussion is again on the table. So, you know, we mentioned earlier, or you mentioned earlier prior to the interview, was, you know, public displays. There used to be public displays around the region. Doesn't seem to be that kind of facility now. But you know, the question is, will that stop the careless use of? I mean, fireworks are pretty cheap nowadays, and if people want to be mischievous with them, they can be if they're for sale. Which, you know, those people have to realise that if they start a fire with fireworks, they are liable for the cost of any damage it does and the cost of putting it out.
Sure.
Broad Green School Hall resounded with singing, dancing, jokes and circus acts as the annual fundraiser for Neyland Primary School kicked off on Saturday night. The show, Under the Big Top, is like no other circus. The acts are performed solely by teachers and parents, with some of the crowd like Tiffany McGill and friends that came dressed in theme for the party. I spoke with Janice Gudbranson, the principal of Neyland Primary, just before the doors opened for the first sellout performance. Janice, a few minutes before opening, there's lots of people waiting at the door. Got a few stage nerves there?
Yeah, we do have a few stage nerves. The backstage people are pretty excited, but it is our 6th show. Some of us have done 6 shows. We've got some newbies, so we're all buzzing. We're all ready to rock on stage.
Oh, that's fantastic. And it's a circus and it's put on by the parents and the teachers. I mean, you must have some pretty good professionals in this area, or they've done a lot of hard work.
We've really got both. We've got lots of some people who have practiced dancing before, have danced in their youth and are keen to get back on stage, and we've got some of us like myself who have never done on stage and we're just keen to have a go, and amazing community support, lots of parents who give up every Tuesday night for about 8 months to put the show together, so we're really fortunate.
Hey, that's fantastic. And I know this is a sellout show. How about the other ones?
The other ones have all been sellouts, but every year we increase the number of tables. So we only started with 20 tables the first year we did it. Now we have 30 tables every night, so we're really wrapped. And our hall is full. We cannot add more tables.
So the other two shows are both sold out?
One is, and one's got a couple of tables left. So you could be in quick and get the last tickets for Friday night next week.
Excellent. Thanks very much, Janice, and good luck with the show.
Thanks very much. Nice to talk with you.
After the break, we'll bring you the latest weather update and some events and happenings coming up from around the region.
From small cars to trucks to commercial vehicles, we have all the leading brands of tyres, including Bridgestone. Our local professional qualified team serve the entire region 24/7. Tasman Tyre Treads, serving Richmond, Motueka and Golden Bay.
We're the team at J-Car, right here in Nelson, 120 Hardy Street. Our shop is full of electronic items,
including security alarm systems, electronic components,
solar and power,
electronics, toys,
sound systems, cables, and much, much more. Jacob.
120 Hardy Street, Nelson.
The majority of information in our life comes to us through our vision. With only one set of eyes to last our lifetime, it's important that you look after them. For over 20 years, Carrington Eye Care has led the way in providing the Nelson Tasman region with professional eye care. Our team are committed to providing you and your family with the highest standard of eye care. As part of this commitment at Carrington Eye Care, we recommend Crizal lenses. Crizal is a revolutionary lens which repels dust and fingerprints. This means it's easier to clean and stays cleaner longer. Visit us at our Nelson, Richmond and practices and ask about our Crizal satisfaction guarantee.
World War I was a defining period in our history, impacting greatly on the lives of people from the Nelson province. Memories of the First World War is an exhibition which will be displayed in a number of regional venues and is currently on at the Nelson Provincial Museum.
Hi, my name's Ian Mortimer. Mortimer Auto Upholstery is your one-stop shop for all your upholstery needs. We do car and boat interiors, boat canopies, ute tonneau covers, canvas and PVC fabrication. Call in and see us in Oxford Mews, 72 Oxford Street, Richmond.
This weekend is the homecoming for Sydney-based Sharon O'Neill, performing her first full-on concert in years. There are a few tickets still available for this event, being held in Nelson's Rutherford Conference Centre with an all-star 8-piece band Saturday the 8th of November at the Mai Tai Room, Rutherford Hotel. To book or find out more, phone 0800 111 999 or online www.ticketmaster.co.nz/Sharon O'Neill. People who are concerned about the Trans-Pacific Partnership currently being negotiated in secret between New Zealand, America and 9 other Asian countries have a chance to make their feelings known this Saturday the 8th of November with protests organised in 17 cities and towns around the country. For more information, please visit www.itsourfuture.org.nz. On behalf of the team here at Mainland Television News in Nelson, thank you for joining us.
Supporting local content so you can see more of New Zealand on air.
Discover the Belgrove Tavern, just 20 minutes south of Richmond on State Highway 6. A restaurant, functions, weddings, barbecue, garden bar with lots of room for kids. Come in, see us.
From small cars to trucks to commercial vehicles, we have all the leading brands of tyres, including Bridgestone. Our local professional qualified team serve the entire region 24/7. Tasman Tyre Treads, serving Richmond, Motueka and Golden Bay.
Hi, my name's Ian Mortimer. Mortimer Auto Upholstery is your one-stop shop for all your upholstery needs. We do car and boat interiors, boat canopies, ute tonneau covers, canvas and PVC fabrication. Call in and see us in Oxford Mews, 72 Oxford Street, Richmond.
Nelson Tire Center, great prices, great service. Buy your own Bryford trailer, all types, all sizes. See Colin Douglas for your tires and batteries.